Hi guys. Today I thought we would kick off the first video on the new channel with an 80 sort of colour swatch, an 80 half pan palette colour swatch. So these will be Daniel Smith colours, Schminke colours, Winsor & Newton, and a couple of Holbein colours. I also have some handmade watercolours off Etsy, some Rivervale colours, which I really love as well. And then, so I'm just kind of showing you here, they're all in this Schminke pastel box. So I got this off Jackson's Art, and I will try and link everything below. And I guess the other thing I wanted to say is that this has taken me about 5 years to collect. I didn't sort of just go out and buy all these colours. I started with a couple, I think of Holbein, then a pearl white from Daniel Smith and a couple from Daniel Smith, and then I have just, the collection has grown over several years. So, and these are all artist grade paints. And then here I just wanted to show you the brushes. So that's my favourite water brush. It's a Faber-Castell one. And then I have quite a few Escoda Reserva brushes. They're my favourite. I really like to, use those for painting. And then I have a Blackwing pencil in there. I believe this is a Princeton angled brush. I'm not a fan of, I feel like I love the angled, but the bristles wore out. I didn't even sort of use the brush that much. This is a Grumbaker. I really like their brushes. I think this was like $1 something off Jerry's Artarama. And then this is a just a Stabilo white pencil. So this is my favourite just for sketching. So it's a watercolour graphite. And then this is the brush we're going to use today, the Da Vinci 20. I really love the, and then I just put some nails on for the video, which you probably will not see again in other videos, but I thought it was a bit special today since it's the first video. So I also keep in this box just a little porcelain plate there to mix on, and then some of my dip pens to also use, because I often use them, while I'm doing the watercolor as well. And then here is another palette. So these are my two little palettes that are more portable, and this one's just for handmade watercolors. So I'm going to do some swatches and talk about that in an upcoming video. And then also this one is another portable palette, and this is more of a condensed version of my larger palette. So it has all my favorite colors and my most used colors in this little portable palette here. So I will also do some swatches, but you can see there those colors, and that is what is in the palette. And the other thing is, if you press the 3 vertical dots at the top of the video and then change the playback settings to 720, you'll be able to see everything a lot clearer, so you'll be able to read those names and everything clearer. Okay, and then this is the book we're going to use today. So it's a handbook journal sketchbook, watercolor sketchbook. I haven't used it yet. I've never used one of these for watercolors before, so it's going to be sort of a first try. And I always like to start my sketchbooks just by trying the and you can see here I had a little go of just some colors. I think this was before we moved, so I was planning to do some things in this for YouTube almost a year ago, and I'm only just getting around to it now. So, but like I said, this is my first time kind of using it and trying all these colors on this paper, and I actually run into a little bit of a problem. At one point, I think the sizing on the paper is a little bit too strong or something. The watercolor's not absorbing into the paper at some parts, so we'll see that in a little bit. But right now I'm just doing a heading for the page, and I always like to incorporate a little bit of handwriting and some gold ink onto my pages. So this one that I'm using is the Winsor & Newton drawing ink. So you can get it off Amazon, and it is a really, really beautiful ink. I have talked about this a lot in my videos on my other channel, and so I'm going to actually try and pull some of those videos over here and then just end up deleting some and kind of filming them for this channel. So my old channel is Heirloom Luxe, and then this one now I'm renaming. My old channel used to be Her Billowing Heart, and I'm renaming this channel that name. So you know, you can jump over there and have a look. I'll link it below, and then you can jump over there and have a look at any of my old watercolor videos, because a lot of those will either be transferred here or disappear. And then that channel will be more for journaling and junk journaling, and this one will be more for watercolor and sketching. I think in my mind it's sort of all connected for me, like the journaling, the watercolors. But I think it would be nice for you guys to know, you know, if I'm going to upload a watercolor video, it'll be on this channel, or if it's more of a journal or a planner video, it will be on the other channel. Okay, so we are going to start swatching here in a minute, and you can see here how I kind of use the gold on the page as well. And then the other thing I wanted to say is it's taken quite a long time for me to swatch a lot of different colors and to figure out what I want or what I need in my palette. So I got the Daniel Smith dot cards, which I don't show in this video, but I have shown them before, and they are really a great resource. You have enough in there to swatch and to figure out which colors that you like. They have so many beautiful ones. And I believe you can also get Schminke dot cards off Jackson's Art as well. So, okay, here we go. So the thing I was saying about this brush is I really love the bristles of this brush, but I really don't love the handle. It feels a bit flimsy, like it might break. So, but I really do like the way that the actual brush holds the water and holds the pigment, and sort of the way it flows off the brush. So that's what we're going to use today. And the first thing that we are looking at here is the Ruby Red from Rivervale off Etsy. So I'll link her shop below as well. I really love this color. It goes between sort of a brown, and then like when the light hits it, it's exactly like a glittery ruby red, like you would think Dorothy's shoes are in Wizard of Oz or something like that. It's a really gorgeous, vibrant, glittery ruby red. And you can see from this angle, it sort of has more of that muted brown. So it's a really lovely color, the way that it sort of changes there. And what I'm showing you here is that I'm just dipping so I'm rinsing off the brush, and then I'm getting just a little bit of water, and then I'm actually backwashing back into the color swatch there. And I really love to do that. You can see how it's kind of activated the pigment there, and so it's sparkling. But I really love to do that to see what kind of blooms you're going to be able to get with the color. Because this is watercolor, and you know, the whole point of this is sort of seeing how the water and the paints react, and what you can do with those colors to create the kind of feelings and the textures and the lines that you want in your paintings. So I got a little bit behind here, but this one here that I'm doing now is Mine Red from Daniel Smith. It is a very light pigment. You have to actually go back in and sort of re-wet it and really work that watercolor to get the pigment out of it. But it's a really beautiful strawberry red. I really love it. And the one that we just did before this is the Pyro Red from Rivervale as well, which is a really gorgeous color. It's just a little bit of a, I'd say, cooler toned red, a bit more vibrant, a bit brighter, and it is very easy to re-wet and to get a really strong pigment from. This one here is also from Rivervale, and it is the Permanent Rose. And so you can see here, this is where I started having problems with the paper. This is not the watercolor. Her watercolors are really beautiful. They re-wet easily, and this is really vibrant. So this is my favorite sort of rendition of this color. But you can see I'm just having problems with the paper actually accepting the watercolor, so there's got to be some problem with the sizing there. This color here is a really beautiful color. This is one of Daniel Smith's Primatech range, so it's made from precious stones, or like semi-precious gemstones, and you can see kind of the matte finish on some of their colours, the Primatex, but it's almost like it's come, you know, it obviously has come from the rock, and you can kind of see that in the way that the colour, you know, hardens in the pan. It's really gorgeous, and it's more of a dusty, bit of a muted rose colour, which is really pretty. This next one here is Schminke's Ruby Red. So it's almost a similar colour to the Permanent Rose, and it's quite a pretty one. So I'm just showing you there. You can see the rhodonite and how nice it is sort of in the pan. So this next one is Schminke as well. It's I think it's the Madder Rose. So it's a very light sort of a rose colour. You can get more of a pink out of it. I don't use this one very much. You can also, you know, deepen the colour as well, and I'm just showing you here putting a little bit more pigment on. But yeah, it's not one that I use that often. This one here is one of my favourites. It is Opera Rose, and I think every company does some version of this colour. I believe this one's Schminke, and it is just a really, really lovely bright pink, you know, hot pink watercolour. So the thing about it is it's not light fast, which means that if it's in a window for a very long time in the sun, you know, we're talking years, it can, the colour can fade. So a lot of artists try to steer clear of it, but I really like it, you know. And so the next one is Organic Vermilion by Daniel Smith, which is just a really deep orange, which I really like. And then this is Schminke's light vermilion version. So the watercolor itself is a little bit lighter and just a really pretty version of the color. It's one though that I thought I'd use more, and I still probably go for the Organic Vermilion and then just water it out. And then this one here is the Pyro Orange by Daniel Smith as well. So I really like this. It's a really juicy, it's more of an opaque, I guess, but it's a really nice, vibrant orange. Okay, the next one we have here is a Holbein one, and I believe this was one of the first couple that I bought, and this is Brilliant Pink by Holbein. So it is a really nice kind of mid-toned pink, or towards sort of a light pink. It's really nice. And then what I do here in the pan next to it, I've actually got half of the Brilliant Pink and then half Pearl White by Daniel Smith, and then I just mix that in the pan like with a toothpick or something, and then, you know, I leave that in there because I do go through these quite a bit. So I've done this with this colour and then also with the Shell Pink, which you'll see in a minute. And I will do a video on kind of how I do that if you want. It's pretty simple, like it's a pretty simple process. You're just squeezing sort of half of each in the pan and then stirring it. But I'll definitely do a video because I have a couple of colours that I'm interested in possibly doing that with. And so now we are talking about probably my favourite watercolour, or at least one of them, which is Shell Pink. It's the really nice blush colour, so I really love this. It is also Holbein, and it is, I believe it's a pigment mixed with, there is some white in the mix. So with both of these, they're a little bit more opaque of a watercolor. And then obviously it is watercolor, you can still get it quite transparent, but you know, there is white in there, so it does kind of give that feeling, but they're definitely not chalky or anything like that. And then this is the Shell Pink mixed with the the Pearl White of Daniel Smith as well. And you'll be able to see the pearl more as it dries, but again, this is a color where I don't really need it in, you know, a pan. I can mix it, but judging by the fact that I've already had to refill this half pan, I do use this quite a lot, so it's a convenience thing and I really enjoy having it there. So this next color is a new one to my palette, and this is Potter's Pink. I really like this color. So I actually saw this, I believe Liz Steele uses this in her palette pretty much all the time, and this is the Winsor and Newton version, so it's a really nice version of the colour. I think there are a few different versions and they all have a slightly different take on it, and they come out a slightly different colour. So the Daniel Smith has a nice one as well, but I'm not sure if there are problems with that, you know, re-wetting or being too kind of hard in the pan, but this one re-wets beautifully. It is a really, really gorgeous Vert, sort of a dusty rose version of the colour, almost with a little bit leaning towards mauve. Okay, so next we have a Schminke colour, which is Naples Yellow Reddish, and I really enjoy this colour when it's wet. However, when it dries, it's a slightly different colour, and it's not really my favourite. So I replaced this colour with the Holbein Jaune Brilliant number 2, and it's a bit more of a peach colour, so it's a bit more of one that I like. But you know, but the Naples Yellow Reddish is really good for skin tones and things like that. And so now we are working on this is another Rivervale colour, and this is the ISO Yellow. So it's sort of a mid-tone orange, you know, in between orange and yellow, and not necessarily one, again, you need in the palette, but it's just nice to have there. And so I got the Rivervale version because I like the strength of her pigments, and I like to support, you know, makers. And so here we just did Nickel Azo Yellow, and now by Daniel Smith, and now we're doing Indian Yellow by Daniel Smith as well. So these are pretty similar in tone. The Indian Yellow is a little bit more vibrant and a little bit less towards the mustard, I guess, but they're both really nice yellows. And so I have 3 yellows in the palette: the Nickel Azo, the Indian, and then the lemon yellow. And my favorite version of lemon yellow is Schminke, and it's this one that I showed you here. So it's slightly cooler. It's a really nice lemon yellow. I also really like the Daniel Smith Aureolin Yellow, which is kind of in between the Indian and the lemon yellow, if you're looking for something that's not quite as light as the lemon yellow. And then here we have I think this is the Rivervale colour. This is probably the only one of her colours which is a little bit hard to re-wet. You've got to put some water on it, leave it for quite a while, and then it's still sort of a struggle to work it. But this is the Champagne Gold, so I do enjoy it. I like to mix it, and this one as well, this is the Iridescent Copper, I believe, by Daniel Smith. And these colours I love to mix with other colours to give them a little bit of a gold undertone or a sheen. Okay, so I'm just popping some water onto the whites there so that they will activate. It does take, you know, a little bit for them to activate, not too long, maybe 10 or 20 seconds. And so we're going to start with the Silver by Schminke. Now, sometimes, like if you're in the US, Daniel Smith might be cheaper, or if you're in Europe, Schminke might be cheaper. So it really depends, but you can use the Silver Schminke as the Daniel Smith Pearl White if one is cheaper, you know, closer to where you live. So this is the Daniel Smith Pearl White. This is one of the first watercolors that I ever got, and I love it. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Anything that you mix with this color will shimmer and sparkle like that. As you can see, I've hit pan, so I really do use it a lot and love it. And then here I am just swatching out the white for you. I know you can barely see it, but I just thought I would do it. And then now we're going to move on to the greens. So I'm starting with probably my favorite green, which is Fuchsite by Daniel Smith. It is again a semi-precious stone and just really, really beautiful. I think we actually have some in the stone form here, but I can't find it. It's just a really gorgeous colour, and I really, really love using this. It's also got a bit of a sparkle in it. So next to this we have Green Pearl by Daniel Smith, and it's a pretty similar colour, but it's a little bit lighter in sort of shade. So it's not one I use as much as the Fuchsite, but it's a really nice one. I kind of wanted to get this just to see if, you know, I'd use it more, but I don't. I use the Fuchsite a lot more. And then this is the Sennelier. This is the only Sennelier one that I have in my palette. This is the Emerald Green, and it really is a gorgeous colour. Sometimes I have a hard time with the Sennelier just getting it to sort of sit or move on the paper the way that I want it to, but I really do love this colour. I feel like I have different products in the different brands that I gravitate towards, and so for Sennelier it's more pastels and oil pastels. I really love their oil pastels. And then this one here is Daniel Smith again. This is Spring Green. And this one here is another Daniel Smith. This is Green Gold. So I really enjoy this one as well to sort of deepen the palette and make it more versatile. And I'm sorry about the sun as well, but I think that it is actually helping to give you sort of the best, you know, truest colour, you know, version of the colour, so you can see the colours quite well. So I just swatched the Schminke Transparent Green, and now I am, which is really not one of my favourites, and now I am just for the colour hue, and now I'm going on to the this is one of my favorites. This is the Daniel Smith German Green Raw Umber, and I use this kind of instead of a olive, you know, an olive green, and I really, really like it. So it's a beautiful colour. Yeah, instead of the sort of the olive toned ones, which almost looked a little bit more synthetic, but this is a really nice natural olive tone. And then the next one that I just swatched was a Schminke one. I can't remember. I got it in a set, so I'm sorry, I'd have to look that up. But this one here is Daniel Smith Terra Vert, and this is a really nice colour from Daniel Smith. I really like it. It's a darker green, but it also has a lot of personality, and it's a little bit more matte, but it's just a really nice colour. So this is the Kingman Green Turquoise, and I got this because I thought it would be a little bit more of a mint green. So it does lean towards the darker side. On the pictures on Jerry's Artarama, it almost looked a bit more like the Sennelier Emerald Green, and so that's why I got it to see if it would replace that, but it doesn't. But it is still a really nice color. It's very expensive, so yeah, it's not necessarily one unless you think you know, you're going to use it a lot, but it is a gorgeous color. So this next one is a Daniel Smith, oh no, this is a Schminke Phthalo Green Blue shade. I'm not sure if the Schminke do the blue shade or not, or just that's their only Phthalo Green. And then this is the Daniel Smith, is it the yellow shade or the red shade? And so I like both of those. They're both different. And then this is the Daniel Smith Permanent Green. So you can see there's quite a bit of variation, but they're still all pretty similar. So, you know, you can kind of pick which ones would suit your style better, or, you know, your subject. But I really do love the Daniel Smiths and the way they just give something extra to the painting. They really provide just it's a different experience. The way that it sits on the paper, the different sheens, the different granulations, and the different colours that come out in things. So the one that I just swatched is the Magello Black. I just like it. It's quite a nice shade of black. It's more towards the just mid-tone grey. So I like it. And then this is the Daniel Smith, I believe it's a Daniel Smith Indigo. I looked at quite a few indigos before I settled on that one, and that is one of my favourite shades of indigo. And then this one here is a similar shade, but it is the kyanite, so it's actually a sparkling one, and you can't really see it here, but I think later on in the video you can see how really nicely it sparkles. And then this one that we're going to do now is another Daniel Smith. This is Iridescent Blue. I really like this as well. It's almost more of a royal blue, and if you kind of mix indigo and this Iridescent, you sort of get like a navy blue. It's really, really a nice color. It's very highly pigmented as well, you can see. So this one here I'm working with for quite a bit. This is the Daniel Smith Lapis Lazuli, and it is, you can see here, it's quite a weak pigment in and of itself, but it is a really, really beautiful shade, and I'll show you a swatch I've done later on. But and even this one here, it's worth it. So for me personally, I think like if it's something where you want that kind of a shade in your paintings, you want to produce a certain feeling or an effect with the watercolors, this does have that capacity. It is, it does take a little bit more work, but you do get a really, really nice finish with it. And so I know some people have got it and been disappointed, and I would just say just give it a minute and think about how you can use it, and you will be surprised at how much you can use it and enjoy it. It is a really nice color. The next one that I put next to that was Cobalt Blue by Daniel Smith, which I enjoy, and I use that instead of an Ultramarine blue. It's a little bit of a lighter, sort of not quite as strong, and I like that. And then this one here is the Manganese Blue by Daniel Smith, which is also really pretty. Then this one here is the Schminke Cobalt Turquoise. I really enjoy this color. It's a really pretty color. It goes on smoothly. And so versus like the manganese is quite granulating, and this one is quite smooth. So I'm not sure if they still call it granulating, but it's still smoother than the manganese. So, for mixing purposes and things, I can sort of cross between the two. Then this one here is the Daniel Smith Sleeping Beauty Turquoise Genuine as well. So this is also a gorgeous color. It dries with like a matte sort of sheen. It's quite lovely and different the way that it dries. It's quite special. Again, it's an expensive watercolor, but I think it is worth it. So the next one is also another Primatech Daniel Smith. This is Amazonite, and I wish I could say that I use this more. I feel like it is a really nice shade, and I just don't use it enough. Like I just don't use it a lot. So, but it is a beautiful color, and nice to work with, easy to re-wet. So the next one is a Daniel Smith Iridescent range, and this is, I believe it's either Oceanic or the Turquoise. I'm not really sure. A lot of the iridescent ones my sister got, so I'm just kind of sharing them with her. You can see the sparkle in it there though. But I think I just got the Pearl White and the Moonstone, and then she has sort of collected the rest of those, and I share those with her. This one here is a really, really lovely, this is the Interference Blue, I believe. So this is a gorgeous one as well. It is very light, so you can barely see it when you put it on its own, but you can put this over the top of other watercolors, so glaze it over the top of watercolor that's already dry. You can add this into watercolor that is wet and just create little pockets or pops of color. You can mix it with colors to give them that sort of sheen and sparkle. So there's a lot you can do with it, and I really, really love that color. It's really nice. This is the Daniel Smith Moonstone. So I got this basically as a grey. So this, instead of like a Payne's grey or anything like this is like a true grey, and it's also sparkles, so that's a bonus in my book. But I know grey's not for everyone, so, sparkle's not for everyone. So there are different other grey watercolours. And then here we are doing a new kind of, I believe Winsor and Newton just brought this out possibly last year. This is the Smalt Blue, or the Dumont's Blue. It is a really, really lovely colour. So it's right between, if you can see there, the Cobalt Blue and a violet. So it's just right in the middle there. It's not violet and it's not blue. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous colour, and I think we'll do a colour spotlight on that colour. I'd like to do some colour spotlights of some of my favourite colours, how I mix them, how I use them, so you can see that. This next one is one of my favourites. It's the Daniel Smith Sugilite, again from a semi-precious stone, and it is gorgeous. So you can see here it's like a muted purple, and then when the light hits it at the right angle, it's just a really beautiful sparkly purple. So I really, really loved that one. I think that was like the second Daniel Smith purchase. So my first Daniel Smith was the pearl white, and then I got the fuchsite and the Sugilite, and I still love them to this day. So I just finished swatching the Daniel Smith Moonglow, and then this is the Daniel Smith Shadow Violet. So these are two of probably the most famous Daniel Smith neutrals. They're really gorgeous. They have a lot of movement and colour variation. So I love them for that, but I also find that sometimes they're hard to control what comes out in them, and so sometimes I steer clear of them, or I try and use them because I don't always love the way the colour separates anyway. So the next thing I've got on there is the Schminke Violet, just, you know, your regular sort of carbazole violet from Schminke. I really like it. Then the Daniel Smith Ultramarine Violet, which is a lighter version of a violet. And let's see what was next there. And then the Daniel Smith Purpurite, which I love as well. And it's more like an aubergine colour, which is really pretty. And then this is the Daniel Smith Amethyst, which as well is a really gorgeous colour from the actual amethyst stone. So the next one we have is the Schminke Brilliant Purple, and you can see there how the purpurite's trying to sort of take over the swatch, and it's sort of leaking into the swatch, so you can see it's quite a strong colour there. And you can already see some of the separation happening, which is really gorgeous. And then this is the Winsor and Newton Cobalt Violet, which is a really beautiful shade and tone of the violet colour. It's a really, really nice one. So I definitely use this one more than the Brilliant Purple before it. And this is my favourite part of watercolour, when the light is hitting it, or when you've just put it on the paper and it's glistening. I love that part of it. So here we have another one of the Daniel Smith iridescent ranges, and I believe this is Hibiscus, Duochrome Hibiscus, which is also, it's sort of a similar tone to the two that we've just swatched. And again, you can put this, you know, over the top of watercolours. You can do it on black paper, which is really nice as well. This is the Mauve, I believe, Duochrome Mauve, which is also a really pretty purple. This one here I really love as well. This is the Interference Lilac, and I love the interference colours. So they're very, very pale, and basically, you know, when you mix these with any of the other colours, I'll do a whole video on it, but you get some really, really nice colour variations from them. I really enjoy them. So this is the Daniel Smith Van Dyke Brown. I really enjoy this colour. All of the Daniel Smith browns, to be honest, I love them. Most of them are, you know, from the earth pigments, so it might be from the rocks or the earth or the sand or the clay in a particular area. And so they create these really amazing textures and patterns and color separations. I really enjoy them. So, oh no, so wait, so this is the Daniel Smith Van Dyke Brown. So the first one was the Daniel Smith Hematite, which you can already see the granulation and the sort of texture in it. This one here that I'm swatching now is the Schminke Sepia, so I also love that one as well. And then this one here is the Daniel Smith Tiger's Eye, I believe. And yep, the Tiger's Eye. And I really, so again, this is from the rock, the Tiger's Eye rock. And I really, all of these browns here, it makes me really feel like the old masters paintings. Like I really, really like them. And I use the hematite a lot instead of black, so because it's really dark, but it has that really nice, and so you can see there like the tiger's eye, see the patterns already forming in it. Really, really love it. And I'll show you some paintings at the end that I have either done or started with these colours. So you can kind of see, especially in urban sketching and buildings, these are really, really beautiful. And so this is the environmentally friendly brown iron oxide from Daniel Smith. You can see the tiger's eye just pushing into the colour. Even though it's a very light colour, it's a very strong one. So, okay, so this one is a Schminke transparent brown, I believe. And I have a couple of Schminkes because the browns are smooth and the tones are really pretty. So I thought, like, you know, to do something where you needed just a smooth colour, maybe hair, or I don't know, something where you wanted just the colour not to be as granulating or textured, I thought they would be nice. So I've got, I think, the transparent brown and the burnt sienna. But this one here is the Roasted French Ochre by Daniel Smith. I've really been enjoying this colour. This one and the next one that I'll do, the Sedona, they just have a really rich kind of nice mid-toned brown and some really pretty and interesting patterns, you know, that come out of them. And so, like I said, this one's the Sedona, and I also really enjoy mixing both of these colours. So this one I would say is a little bit on the warmer side, and the Roasted French Ochre is a little bit on the cooler side, but they're pretty similar and both really, really lovely. I like to think of this Sedona as more like a pinky brown, like it's quite a nice colour. And I'm sorry about the shaky camera work here, guys. So I had a hard time figuring out how I could actually put the camera, and so you could actually see the swatches and how they work and how the colours are moving. So I just kind of figured I'd do it by hand. So because I wanted you to see, you know, the colour in the palette and how it re-wets as well. And I couldn't get it all on camera properly, so yeah, sorry about that. So the one I just did was the Schminke Burnt Sienna, and this one that I'm doing now, I believe, is Daniel Smith Italian Deep Ochre, which is also a beautiful colour. So as far as ochres go, you know, you've got the regular sort of mustardy style ochre that is pretty much in all the palettes. And I have a few different variations of an ochre in this palette. None of them are like a standard ochre. The Italian Deep Ochre I really enjoy, but I think my favourite one is just the French Ochre, which is coming up. This one here was the Yellow Iron Oxide, Daniel Smith Yellow Iron Oxide, which is also a really nice one. It brings out a lot of colour variation. And then this one here is the Daniel Smith Goethite, which is like an ochre, but it has some sort of grit to it, like a little bit of sort of black comes out. And again, these are so perfect and beautiful for doing urban sketching, for painting old buildings. just for creating that kind of real texture on the paper. So I mean, you can see, like, as I'm sort of doing them here, they look like the facades of old buildings. They're really, really gorgeous. I mean, you can get that feeling and the patina of the stone just by putting this on without even doing any extra work, just by laying this on the page. So it's so nice like that. And then, so I just did the French ochre, which is my favorite. And then this is the Verona gold ochre, which I like. It's a little bit more of a yellow tone in it. These are both very light ochres, by the way. They're a very light version of the colour, but I really like them for that. And the French ochre is almost going a bit towards the caramel, and then the Verona gold is a bit more towards the yellow spectrum. And I can't believe we've just finally made it through all of them. So this is the last colour. This is the Daniel Smith Duochrome Desert or something like that. So this is, again, my sister's colour. It's a really nice colour. It's just right in the, shades that I like there of the browns. And yeah, again, it's a nice one to use, to mix, to overlay, to glaze with. So I'm just going through, I'm going to write the names down there for you, and you can see here the blooms, and this is why I like to do the backwash in the samples, to see what I can get out of the colour, how it's going to move, how it's going to bloom, and just general characteristics of the different colours, and how they react to water, because that's the medium and that is what you're going to be using it with. So I really enjoy this, and I think you can kind of see a pretty good representation here of the colours, of how they work on the papers. And like I said, I will be back to do some colour spotlights with different colours, what they mix well with, how to use them in a painting, and things like that. So I wanted to be able to get, I think the only thing is I haven't really shown the ruby red and the fuchsite, how they act, and the Sugilite possibly, how they sparkle. So I'll try and get that either in this video or in another one. You can see here these are all dry, and that's quite a good representation of those two colours, of all the colours actually. They're represented quite well here. Yeah, I'm just looking through the screen as I'm kind of doing the voiceover. I love the way these browns they never disappoint me. So, but I really highly recommend getting the Daniel Smith 283 dot cards. So you can get them off Amazon for about $20, and you can do paintings with that paint. You can swatch them and see, which exactly which, like, I mean, I have swatched them quite a few times. I've watched a lot of videos. So to pick these colours, I didn't just kind of pick them by random. I really, and you can see the Sugilite there, the really nice colour of it. So I, I did a lot of research and work to try and figure out, which colours I think I would like, so that I didn't kind of waste money on colours that I didn't. You can see there the Lapis Lazuli, how it's dried. So it really is a gorgeous colour. It does require more work than some of the other colours, and you can see the kyanite there as well. I'm trying to get it to sparkle, but it is worth it. Like, to get those effects, you can't get that effect with any other colour, and you can't get it as quickly either. Like, some colours you have to kind of lay down and then glaze and then do some dry brushing over the top, maybe, to try and get all those different elements in the watercolor, and you're still not going to get exactly right. So yeah, I do recommend them. I think it's a hard thing to kind of even understand until you kind of see it and experience it. Like, I had heard people on blogs and online talking about Daniel Smith for quite a while before I even it clicked in my head, like. And so you can see this is the environmentally friendly brown iron oxide, just that one color that I'm working on, that doorway. And then this one has the interference blue and I believe the kyanite in it as well, so you can see all the different sparkles on the water there and stuff. But what I was saying is I didn't recognize it, and so the moonstone is in the shadows in this one here. I haven't finished it yet, but until I found the pearl white, because I wanted to make my watercolors sparkle. And we were really only at that time buying you know those packs from Michael's. It's just like a $15 pack or something you can get with a coupon, and it's got a bunch of watercolors in it. So they're like student grade watercolors, but I wanted to make sparkly watercolors. And then once I figured out, like, wow, this is so nice, and then I just started trying a few of the other colors, and you really get hooked. Like, it's so, they're really special. So this one here I think is done with goethite and maybe a little bit of either hematite or tiger's eye. It's from Bethesda Terrace in New York. You know, the garden in Central Park. And then what am I showing here? So this is an actual traveler's notebook that I made on my other channel, so you can go over and check that video out on my other channel if you're interested. But I keep a lot of, like, this is some Holbein watercolors, and then this is like my swatch book. So you know, I've swatched, as you can see, like a lot of different brands and a lot of different watercolors to come up with a palette where I really like the colors and I can use those colors, and then I condense that even more into my little travel kind of palette. But I'm just kind of trying to show you here. This is where I first swatched out the Daniel Smith dot cards, and I mean, you know, it's hard with the sun, and I apologize for that. I can probably try and do this in a different video and show you a bit more clearer, but you can see here, like when I backwashed the first colors and I did these first samples, how much I love these colors. Like the Lapis Lazuli there, you can see the little almost like icicles come out of it, and the Cobalt Blue Violet, the fuchsia, everything on here was just so beautiful. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know watercolors could do this and could produce these colors and the patterns, and it's really amazing. I mean, every brand does their own thing, and Schminke and Windsor and Newton have the really nice soft creamy watercolors, but I love to support Daniel Smith because of what they're doing with these colors. Like, look at the Zoisite Genuine there, and you know, you can get so much more depth into your artwork through these colors. And I know they're an investment and a lot to try and find, but you can even just start with the Daniel Smith dot cards. It will give you 280 colors, and you can paint with them. You know, you can produce whole paintings with the dot card for $20. So I highly recommend it. I love the Italian burnt sienna there. I haven't gotten that one, but every time I see it I really enjoy it. And then that was the brown iron oxide, and the Van Dyke. You can see you know, how the hematite there, and it had like the little bit of brown around it. So really loved, and I learned a lot about watercolors just from getting these dot cards and swatching them all out. So here are the iridescents, and I needed another light. I just didn't have one on me this morning when I was filming this, and I just to be honest, it was taking so long. I'm thinking I just needed to get it done, so I couldn't go find a light. But I need like a flashlight to actually shine on the colors to make them sparkle for you on the video. So I'll try and do that in you know, future videos coming up. And I'm kind of showing you here. So on my other channel, I did a video a few years ago when I was still really new at YouTube, and I guess I still really am. I'm still really nervous about it, but I was really new to it, and my videos weren't the best, so I am, you know, just kind of showing you some of the swatches that I did and that I went through this whole process. I mean, I really did try and do everything I could to figure out which colours, because you know, you don't want to kind of buy, even if you're buying like one colour every few weeks, or, you know, 2 colours a month or something, you don't want to waste those colours. So I really tried to figure out which ones were going to work for me or not, and you can see, you know, the beautiful colours there. So and then here I also did sort of a gold video, but I think I'll kind of redo that for this channel, or I might just move over. I just did a 5 favorite gold, so I might just try and move that one over and then just cancel out the old ones. So again, if there's anything there you think you might want to have a look at, go and check that out now, because they'll probably be deleted. But this was, you know, today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I also have I think the next video coming up, hopefully within a couple of days, is going to be my new favorite hot pink. So, you know, I always thought Opera Rose was so bright, and then I found this new pink. So we're going to look at it. We're going to look at the comparison between those two and look at this color. Like, it's just wow. It is so pink. It is so pretty, and the mixes that you can get with it are really amazing. So that's going to be my next video as soon as I can, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.